This is the case of the trucking industry against the people of the nation. Bailiff, call the roll.
People from every corner of trucking are getting tired of waiting, while major corporate interests have lobbyists, lawyers, consultants, and associations speaking directly into the ears of Washington. Far too many of the people actually doing the work feel like they're standing outside the room looking in. Owner-operators, small fleets, drivers, trainers, advocates, and independent voices, all different parts of the industry, all complain. Is the truckers of this industry overlooked, underrepresented? Let's see what you think. And what would be a show without a technical difficulty? Welcome to Trucking Frontlines. We are left with one question. That is, what is the verdict after an entire industry gets put on trial and the verdict is rendered? For far too long, people in high places with way too much to gain and nothing to lose are making decisions about the future of your life. Tonight's show is where that comes to a close, and we decide what's truly in your best interest. So let me tell you something. Do you guys find it strange that certain people in certain places are now all of a sudden faced with difficulties, pushback, and maybe a little bit of influence they didn't count on? Well, I submit to you that the reason is because the average American, the 86%, hello, does that sound familiar? We're actually waking up, my friends. We're actually becoming a force to reckon with. Tonight's show is dedicated to the 86% of you, men and women on the front lines that do the work of the independent trucker. Tonight's show is dedicated to those individuals that actually want to make trucking great again. Listed in the chat to the right is a link. If you would like to become part of this show and you would like to make a difference, click on that link. That is StreamYard at its best. Get in touch today with Bossman at Trucking City, and let's make a difference.
We to life. The strength of wrong versus right. We belong to truth, found on the front line.
We don't do it just for us and our families. We do it for you guys.
Tonight.
9 o'clock Eastern, approximately every Sunday, we come to you live. Boss Man here, and giving you the voice. So this is Trucking Frontlines, where we give you the voice, and this is the voice no one else can give you. We take everyday conversations and do everything we can to help average Joe truckers like you and me get armed with information and a sense of community. And it's through this and more that we can make trucking great again. Many other shows focus on being first. Many want to be the one and only location where you get the know-how and the information. Many networks focus on the flash and the dash. We focus on what matters most. From Focus Point to headlines and everything I do in between, Truckin' City is dedicated to helping the industry stay focused on what makes this possible. What makes this possible is the men and the women of the trucking industry. You may not know me, may not know what I'm capable of, but one thing I can guarantee you, this is Truckin' City, and this is where your voice counts. Let's stay united, guys. Let's stand together. Together with We the Truckers and Truckers Unite Now, we can and will make a difference. Yes, me with my technical flaws that happen every time. Yes, believe it or not, I do have a method in my madness. I do have a way of doing things. Might look junior, might look unorthodox, but trust me, it'll get the job done. So subscribe today, become a member of the Truth in Broadcasting, a premier membership program I have set up for you, giving you early access to launches of critical information between the videos, the shorts, and the many things I put up here. If you join our membership, you will get early access, earlier than most. If you subscribe, you'll be able to find me, and you will get hooked up to ways to make trucking great again. But if you join the membership, you'll get plenty more things, and you'll get access to things no one else gets. Join today, become part of the TIB Nation, and find your place in helping to make trucking great again. I urge you. But on to what I think is the most important part of today's show. As we get guests wanting to join, and there are going to be some good ones, take a moment and think about this. Do you ever find it strange? Do you ever find it strange that the same kind of people who always seem to be standing in exactly the right places when trucking reaches a crossroads, they always seem to have the right thing to say. They always seem to know where everything is. Automation shows up, and somehow the people with the money and the tech and the government relationships are already sitting at the right places. Do you find that even strangely convenient? If you're anybody like me, yeah, I find that really weird. Labor policy changes, and then suddenly the right organizations with the right lawyers and just the right lobbyists and people that say the right things on camera, consultants, political access, they already have their positions already cemented before even the first driver has their podcast up questioning why now. Insurance, safety, mandates, freight tech, environmental rules, all of it. Did you ever find it strange? Well, I tell you, I often sit there and watch some of these things, and I think about this. When exactly do we get our voice? When exactly is it that we are allowed to actually make an influential change? when is it exactly our turn? I just recently got off a 4-day vacation. Some of you may know, some of you may not. And Trucking City doesn't revolve around my vacation, so far be it from you to understand that. But in just 4 days, I can miss a lot. And I'll tell you what, I powered up the studio servers this morning and started looking at everything that's gone on in the last 4 days. And I'll tell you, I was amazed. I was amazed. Because one of the first things I saw was a report on a very influential part of the trucking industry. For years, this man boasted on how short we were, on how we needed more labor, how we needed more drivers, how we needed certain things in certain places. And what's the first thing I see?
EA announces leadership transition August 21st, 2026. If you're watching this video today, Washington American Trucking Association Chairman Greg Hagen issued the following statement today. Quote, Chris Spear informed our executive committee today that he will be departing the American Trucking Associations effective immediately. During his tenure, ATA secured significant policy victories, strengthening its advocacy operation and elevated trucking voice in Washington. I would say the next ATA CEO needs to be someone that has driven a truck, has been a truck driver, has seen the pains of being a truck driver, and we could go from there. What are your thoughts about that right there?
My thoughts are this. My trucker, I'll tell you what, you waste no time, Alex, in jumping on the latest and greatest. So good move on talking about that. But here's my take to answer your question. The man has been positioned in the industry with the ultimate aim at beefing up big tech and big trucking for the longest time. And as far as I'm concerned, everybody with nefarious purposes, they'll eventually meet their ends. They'll eventually see the door. For decades now, Chris, ever since he's been given that, and I look back, he's been in his place for over a decade now. He's touted the same line ever since he was put in that position as president and CEO of the ATA. That organization by itself probably isn't a bad org, but he running it has managed to turn it into a machine. And that machine has been purely designed at one aim. And that one aim is to mechanize mega carriers against the majority. If you people watching this show wonder why it is you can never get your voice heard, and there are some out there that make this widely known, okay? The reason is because of money. The reason is because of influence. You can't make a dent in something unless you have enough money or influence behind you. Everybody wonders why you can't get anything done. Well, the reason is because of the old classic diversionary trick. Uncle Sam is out here saying, well, so you can see this. Out here, he's saying, look at what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing for you. In the meantime, right here, or right here, because you can see it, this is truly what they're doing. But the thing is, you never see this because this is always happening. And what this is, it's billions of dollars. What this is billions of hours of research that you don't know is going on. So they'll cover it with money, and in the background, you don't see what's happening. And then when you finally do wake up and smell the coffee, it's too late. damage is already done. I submit to you, anyone watching, that's what's already done. That's already been done. For the most part, yeah, it's too late. But for the remainder of 86% of us who are watching this broadcast right now, it's not too late for us. All right? A lot of you look at Chris Spears and all this stuff going on, and you think, this is an opportunity. This is how we get it done. This is where... No, it's a distraction. It's truly a distraction. One that you don't want to mistake for your opportunity to get together, become part of a greater work in progress. There are people in places all over the country that are pulling for the 86%, that are putting together information and plans to wake up the industry, wake up the country, and wake up the public. I urge you, pay attention. Because what I've seen, not only from this group of people, but from my own very two eyes, would blow your mind. You think you have control. You think you have the ability. You haven't woke up the beast yet. You haven't actually opened your eyes, and you haven't actually begun to understand what's really going on here. You know, a lot of people sit and discuss the intricacies of politics, and they wonder why so many people are so afraid of waking the beast in politics. I think I know why. I think it's time you guys woke up, understand that. So let's bring up one of our regulars, Grumpy Giggles. How the hell are you, my friend? Glad you could join us today. When it comes to politics and trucking, what are your thoughts? Hello,
sorry.
Grumpy. There you are. There you are.
There I am. Oh, okay.
Keep you hanging a moment. Okay, I see how you are.
Well, that's my job.
Yeah. So I mean, all right. Let's back up and rewind for everybody understanding. This show is basically my version of the trucking industry on trial. Okay. What I'm talking about today is the fact that there are so many leaders and so many people in positions of power in trucking that have made claims and done things that sow seeds of dissent against the 86% of us that actually carry the most weight in trucking. I hope that in my first 15 minutes of waking up the industry with my monologue, I hope I've done successfully just that, kind of woken them up to, hey, look, now is your time. Wake up, smell the coffee. What say you, Grumpy?
Well, I mean, yeah, you've done a pretty good job of that, I'd say. As we always talk about different stories of the trucking industry for the last few years that I've known you, you know, it seems to be misplaced at times. It seems to be like we're on the back burner until something is needed. And then when we need stuff, it's like, who are you? And so we have to go out and boast out to everybody, and you know, and some people have to actually go and give out letters to these different places trying to get their attention, and it seems like it goes nowhere, and we shouldn't be that way. Our voices are just as important as everybody else out there.
Yes. And there's a lot of, look, I'm becoming familiar and affiliated with some of the most important influences that I feel are willing to pay attention to the average Joe, the 86%, and they're willing to fight for you. Outfits like WeTheTruckers.com. They put together a website which gives you access to resources, people and places and things you need to know about fighting where it counts. You know, you can find out who your local representatives are. You can find out nice little resources to help put together a way to wake up and remind those representatives that, you know what, your voice matters. You are a trucker, and by that, you are a trucker that represents an integral part of the industry, whom without those 86%, most of the commerce today stops. They've got other resources like, you know, places to list your place in the industry, and in their website too, like, you know, a place where if you want to advertise that you have some service somebody needs, you know, you can visit the truck stop. They've got links for government services and places that you might want to look into for information. Places you can find information on petitions and other needed legislation that's going in front of Congress, that's both passed and not passed. People have these things out there, but very rarely do enough of the 86% watching this show even know where to find this stuff. So I urge you, look up WeTheTruckers.com, find them, register. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything, but the information you get on it is priceless. It helps you find everything you need. Link, dude, invitation. You know where I'm at, dude. Come on up. You don't need a special invitation. You have a special place on this panel. Get your ass up here. Come on now. Y'all don't know me, but I'm boss man. I mean business. You know what? It wouldn't be a show without Thumb and Bo. So get up here, buddy. Catherine, well. Look who we have here tonight. I sure am glad you guys, I must say thank you. I'm glad you joined us, even though you're in on behalf of Grumpy. I'm sure he's glad too. I mean, really, do I have to send out engraved invitations to certain people? Sean, Vince, Thumper, Bo, everybody. Come on, guys. Come on in. I don't have to give you guys engraved the links never change. Come on in. Let's do trucking something good. Look, I don't expect owner operators to immediately stop what they're doing and jump into let's control Washington. I'm not expecting miracles. But I don't expect the 10 truck company to have the influence that a corporation has either. What I do expect is everybody that watches this show and everybody that works in the industry to be told the truth. And so far, from what I've seen from both just average news clips and everyday trucking channels that I watch and others in the industry, that's not happening. We're not being told the truth. We're being fed a version of what people think will pacify us, as if we were a 2-year-old toddler. They're treating you like babies, honestly. If you knew the full depth of what people are doing, both in terms of investment, lies, deceit, you would understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. I know things. I see things. I see things on news reports every day. And that would stagger you. And I introduced the Mother Trucker clip to just basically baby you into understanding this goes far deeper than anyone really truly understands. It goes deeper than a senator. It goes deeper than a representative. It goes deeper than one CEO of one company. Everybody thinks the big to-do is one company. Most of the people I talk to think it's all because of one company. I think it's because of Aurora. Semi, welcome to the show. My friend, how many companies do you think actually service driverless autonomous trucks?
Maybe half a dozen, if that, right now. But I do know that a lot of the the Big 10 are definitely interested in driverless trucks. But right now, the only ones that I know of is Hirschbach, and I think it's Coca-Cola is starting to play around with driverless trucks.
What if I told you that you don't know half of it?
I'd believe you. I believe you because a lot of what I know is just off public statements and public releases.
I'm going to risk the fact that I may be wrong on the number, but I'm willing to bet you that the gentleman just came into the show next to you to probably qualify the fact that I'm right. And there's at least 25 companies. Sean, correct me if I'm wrong, but 25 total companies that run, investigate, invest, and try to push autonomous driverless semi-technology to replace you and me. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. There's probably more than 25. I mean, that's just of hitting on
You know about.
the ones that's really hitting on the surface. I mean, you look at toll roads, you know, the investments that they put into it, all the way down the chain. I mean, I guarantee you there's way more than 25, but you know, in some form or fashion, right? As we're doing our research, we're finding stuff that's you know, they're not saying, hey, here's $1 billion in cash flow to say here this is going to autonomous, but you see the infrastructure being built where they're running cables along the side of the interstate. You know, that's money going to them. Whether you look at it saying, hey, here's a gift, or you say, hey, we're gonna lay down some technical stuff for you to make it to where it's easier for it to transfer. So absolutely. I mean, it's it's insane how many people are actually investing into it in our own money, you know, taxpayers' money, toll money. You know, if we're gonna raise up our toll roads because they're saying that they need that money to fix the infrastructure on it, I don't think using that money to invest into.
I was just going to ask, what is the significance of the tolls in terms of making this autonomy work? I heard you mention that in hinting last week's show. What is the significance of that? I find that interesting because when you mentioned that, I had to think about that.
Yeah, so I mean, like in Florida, the state of Florida has gave $142 million for their Suntac track area. You know, so they paid for the you know, I don't know if they paid for the land or if they paid for the pavement. You know, but if you look at their facility, $142 million is what they actually gave from Florida. You know, toll roads. So, you know, if you're running these toll roads. And, you know, like you said, they're increasing like crazy. Look at Indiana, look at Ohio, you know, look at New Jersey, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, you know, Virginia, all these.
The amount of toll roads across the country, people don't know this. They don't add it up. They don't let it actually compute.
Yeah. You got Texas and Georgia. I mean, all these ones that, all these states that actually have tolls, you know, one way or the other, is investing in autonomous. You know, they're putting the technology out for you know, they call it the what is it, LRSs that check your license plate as you go. Well, all that technology can be used for autonomous. All they got to do is spend a little extra money and invest it in the right way to make it work. So again, how do we increase toll roads? Because they're saying that our infrastructure need to be built, and I mean, and they're bumping it up you know, $1, you know, 98 cents, 50 cents on there. But yet then when we go and track the money to see what they're actually investing for our infrastructure, it all points to autonomous.
If there's one thing I have to say is I am sick of toll roads because my whole state seems to be nothing but toll roads.
Would you believe that Oklahoma represents less than 1% of the toll infrastructure in the country? As sick as you are, Grumpy, that's less than 1%.
Sheesh.
And the money generated from Oklahoma ain't nothing but a drop in the bucket, honestly. What Sean is talking about, and the total dollar values being derived to facilitate everything that they're talking about, that ain't a drop in the bucket, dude. That's nothing. And you're sick of it. Think about how everybody else feels.
Yeah, Yeah, billions and billions of dollars are going into it, right? So, when your calculator, when you start looking into this stuff, and your calculator won't even do you the numbers for it, how much money
Yeah.
is it? You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's sad. So, I mean, yeah,
It
like
is.
I said, Oklahoma is just a very, very small portion, but the technology that they're investing in putting cables going down the side of the interstate
Yeah.
is basically a system design that if autonomous, we look at LiDAR systems and radars, that most of that technology is it's not there yet. It's not, we looked in Germany studies and it shows that it's at the end of the road of LiDAR. So if you run cables down the side, could it actually work? Again, we're relying on technology to be safe enough for our family to be out there on the road. And we've all seen technology now, right? Our phones crash all the time, battery lives go out. So, I mean, can you rely on technology to be safe out there? It is a question that we all should be asking, and we need answers for that. So, and that's what we're doing.
And what disturbs me is that we're starting to see, and it wasn't that long ago we were actually looking for was evidence that driverless trucks were on the road. And honestly, part of what I opened the show with is I'd taken, a few days to spend time with family. One of the first few videos I saw really kind of made me stop and think, because someone actually captured a video, I think it was a minute and a half long, driving past a driverless truck. There was nothing in the driver's seat, no one there. You couldn't even tell there was anybody in the rig or not. And it kind of really made me wonder. I mean, there was, a little bit of light traffic around it, but it's there. It's actually visually being recorded now. It's happening.
You talking about that truck that was pulling that extra trailer?
Probably. It may be. I don't know. Because like I said, I only caught the starting of the video. I didn't record it, because if I'd thought about it, I would have done it for this show.
They had an 800 number.
It proves nothing. I mean, we know it's there. We know it's happening. We know people are pushing for it. But the problem then begins, how do we influence anything? See, that's the difference. You've got two modes of thinking. You've got participation and you've got permission. There are those people that are willing to participate and make the dream come to life. But then there are those people on the other end of the spectrum that are those that want to give permission to actually allow it to happen. So my question here on this, and the reason I brought the thumbnail up the way I did, okay, is we're going to put the trucking industry on trial. We're going to put people on the bench, and we're going to ask the appropriate questions. Now, in that, are we going to participate in those questions? And are we actually going to expect relevant and qualified answers, or are we going to give permission to everybody to just say an objection and walk the other way? What's it going to be, people? Because you know what? We're faced with choices right now. We can either let them roll over us, or we can become part of the minority that's decided, you know what, enough's enough. And I think the nice thing about the minority is they eventually become the majority. Sean, what do we need to know about this right here? Make a difference today. In one shot, at one time, there's somebody familiar with you and myself I just met. I don't want to tell the story wrong. I don't want to be responsible for getting facts wrong. But what do we need to know about 10-4-DC?
Well, I mean, 10-4-DC, I think if we want to make a statement, I think that's the place to do it at, right? It's in Washington, D.C. It's designed like a truck show. There is going to be a bunch of, major players there that will actually be listening, right? We're talking about having news outlets that are going to be actually seeing it. So we call the 10-4-DC the biggest stage in America if we ever look at truck shows. This is bigger than Matt's that you see in Louisville, right? This is a time that you can actually bring your truck with a permit that they've already got to bring your trucks to Washington, D.C. and actually park them in the mall. So it's a very, very important. I tell everybody to get encouraged to get involved with it. You can actually speak there, myself and Vince and yourself as well. is actually going to be speaking there in front of the crowd. So if we want to make a statement in the trucking industry, why not in a better place to do it than in Washington, D.C., where everything happens? You know, this is where all the rules are being made and all the laws are being founded in the platform. So I encourage everyone. It's going to be 3 days that it goes. It goes from like Wednesday to Sunday, and we do a convoy in there at nighttime. There's going to be a lot of stuff going in there.
And to the person that I spoke with the other day on our meeting, if you are willing to come up on this, click the link on my StreamYard. Come on up here. Let us know what to expect from 10-4 DC. I'm personally excited about it, but you know, with all that I do, I've got a very short memory, so I don't want to misrepresent you, my friend. So you can click that StreamYard link right down below. Come on up here. Tell us your thoughts, your desires, your fight, and we will join you happily, because this is where together we can make a difference. And I've said this all along, you know, I mean, together with We the Truckers and Truckers Unite Now, I mean, we are a group of people that are passionate about making a difference in trucking. You know, you cannot do anything by yourself. If you're sitting there thinking, you know, what use is there? You're part of the problem. You're part of the reason why nothing gets done. But on the other case, if you sit and think, what can I add to the conversation going on? Then you are part of the solution, and we welcome you. We want you to help us. We want you to help make a difference. And 10-4 DC is just one of those ways in which you can do that. So, because the reason I want him up here, the reason I want him is because I remember he mentioned that there's an address. I want to publish that address. So if you're watching and you know that address, put that up. I think it's 10-4dc.org. I think that is one address you need to know about.
And you spell it out, right? So it's going to be TEN.
Yes.
So make sure you spell it.
FOUR DC.org. So that's how you make it happen. In fact, what I'll do, I typically don't type and talk, but I'm going to put it in there. HTTP. Keep talking, Sean. Tell us more about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, this is another, like Bossman just said, this is another step in the direction to get our voices out there and get it heard. And these guys actually done it, right? They said, hey, we got the permits for trucks to go into Washington, D.C. We've got the platform, you know, bring your trucks, bring your voice, you know, and talk. And that's what it's about. You know, it's getting truck drivers together to say, hey, we have to look out for our own industry. You know, this is why we keep saying, is our industry on trial right now?
Yes.
Right. Is our industry on trial right now? And how do we be a part of that trial? Because, you know, this is coming down to being billions and billions of dollars that we're finding being spent on self-driving vehicles. So those are billions and billions of dollars.
That's where I want to stop you right there, because I've come to learn that we only think of money in terms of millions and billions. All we see are the numbers in names, okay? But I've recently figured out we don't even know a tenth of this.
No, because that's the thing, and you won't unless you actually do the research and actually find, you know, how's a gift gave, right? Is it in money, or is it in by cables? Is it by in infrastructure? Is it by using jury barriers? You know, how do you say that this ain't being invested into the money that's being into it when you're putting the money towards it, right? So you're putting the product to actually pave the way, and that's the thing. So when I say billions and billions, I mean it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars. So I mean, it's not you know, actually having a number to pick. We see it as, okay, well, they didn't put a dollar sign to it. So how much is copper cable? You know what I mean? How much is you know, Jersey barriers going on the side of it? How much is the paving a lane separately for them to go on, right? These are the things that are coming out of our taxpayers' money.
On screen, Sean, is one of the reasons I mentioned this. You know, I mean, a lot of people think it's so because he was just ineffective. You know, Chris Spear left because he got into a fight, or, you know, what. Think of the hundreds of reasons that could exist because of him leaving. You know, because he was supposed to serve until 2029. Watching this, do you know that? It's
Yeah, well, I mean-
2026, and he's now leaving short. He's leaving them 3 years short of a full term he's supposed to serve for. But look at the screen. Chris Spear, former president and CEO of the American Trucking Association, earned a total compensation package of approximately $1.98 million, which equates to $1.95 million plus a base of $33,000 in other reportable compensations on an annual basis is reported. Who the hell makes that kind of money, man? I mean, think about that.
Well,
And what was all that from?
The most important thing in this is to watch and see where he goes. I want to know where he goes. I want to know what his next job's going to be. You know, a lot of people are looking at it.
And before you mentioned that earlier today when we were talking on the phone, I didn't even give that a thought, to be honest with you. But I mean, that by itself is disturbing when you think about it. Hell, I mean,
I think a lot of people is not looking at the bigger picture, right? We always look at the small picture of, okay, he left, and then it'll disappear, right? But you know, it's just like with the cases with like Kristi Noem. It's just like the cases up in Minnesota with all the money being spent the way it was. Where is Chris going? That's where we need to be focusing in. Is he going to go work for autonomous self-driving vehicles? What does he know that we don't know? Why did he quit? You know, a lot of people don't really look at that. They just look at it. Hey, he left. We're looking at it on the research side of where's he going? You know, what's the guy's been, you can hate him or love him. I mean, he's a knowledgeable guy. He knows how to get in there and actually get into people's head. I mean, he could sell a used car to somebody that has a blown engine pretty quick and easy. I mean, he has
pretty damn quick. Exactly.
He has to speak of Gab. The gift of Gab is what I call it. You know, and he's done a lot of things in the industry that to made you know, when he was talking about autonomous and saying, hey, I need every single autonomous truck. I need every truck driver out here. We have a driver shortage, right? This guy has made driver shortage the front of his career. So
how
again,
distracted we as the public have been over this entire automated driverless truck thing. Think about it. And I think it's been partly by design, because I don't think Chris Spears mouthed off this crap about a driver shortage accidentally. I think there was a purpose in it. But now, fast forward, here it is 2026. We're talking the way we are now. He's leaving. And now what's in our face? We have all this talk about automation, the upcoming 250 bill, and all of this secret talk going on in places we don't even know exist. And honestly, what control do average individuals have to affect the change in that? I mean, think about how on purpose all of that is, how disturbing that is, and exactly what effect that has on us in industry. Because, I mean, honestly, if you really put all the dots and places together and connect them all, dude, man, I'm telling you what, I'm not sure I'm going to sleep tonight. I'll be honest with you. I really am not sure I'm going to sleep tonight.
So my question is, you know, it's better to know the devil that you know than to deal with the devil you don't. So who's going to be replacing him is my question.
Okay. Jump, man. Jump. Because that's exactly what I was thinking. Sean?
So here's what we got to do, right? We have to watch what direction they're going in, right? You start looking at their meetings, right? Which we've been doing for a while, right? And actually seeing what's happening in the inside of the machine, right? But we always say this all the time, right? You don't know the machine unless you get inside the machine. You don't take a hammer and beat on the outside. You get inside the machine and you figure out what's going on. And that's what we're doing. We're actually digging inside the machine going, okay, in this meeting, you guys are talking about this. In this meeting, you're talking about that. And do you expose it out to the public? Not really for sure if it's a smart thing. But what I think is if you know where the machine's going in that direction, you can start re-steering that machine. And from what we know that's in the machine, that machine is directed right at straight as autonomous coming in as the forefront of self-driverless vehicles.
Sean, you can't see the screen, correct? Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
what we're talking about here is the industry actually looking at this, right? Are people put in the right spots to make something happen? You know, when we talk about I always say it wrong. Gerrymandering, however you say
Jerry,
it.
yeah. Let me, Sean.
Gerrymandering.
Gerrymandering the future trucking. That's right.
You know, so when we look at these, are they putting somebody in that position that's already has autonomous background, right? We looked at all the other ones. There's a lot of them on that board that has one way or the other been affiliated with autonomous. You know, we look at Derek Bars. Where's he come from? You look at the NTCS, right? Hello, got a background in autonomous. So if you put the people in the right spot, could you get something changed to pave that path? And the answer is yes, absolutely. We say that can one
People have been
jury,
playing that political game for decades.
right? And could one, and our big thing is could one jury, member of a jury, create 11 other people to get a convicted verdict? And the answer is absolutely. We
Dude,
see
you
it,
stole
right?
my thunder. I was going to introduce that. Damn it.
My bad. My bad. But here's the thing. I mean, could Chris Spears have took all of his crew and said, hey, you know what? This is where we want to be at. We want to be supporting autonomous 100%. Could he? Absolutely. You know, could Derek Bars, could he be taking the FMCSA and telling everybody in that group that we need to be supporting autonomous? Absolutely. You know, so
But think about the implications. But think about the implications of what you just brought up. I mean, how seriously could that already have been done, and we don't even freaking know it?
So we look at the members pass it, right? Again, we get in that machine and we look. The former FMCSA has background to autonomous. So I mean, have they paid the wave, and now you need a good speaker in there? You know, like a Sean Duffy. I always say Sean Duffy. You know, he's got nice clothes on all the time. He's always in the media and he's talking it. Did the former one put him there?
Not to cut you off, Sean, but here is where I feel it's almost compulsory that I bring up the obvious question. Okay. And that is, I've said this for years now. And as long as I've held this channel, I know I've brought it up in multiple videos. I challenge you watching. Go ahead and find the videos. But here's the question. Why is it every single time that we have a position open, whether it's FMCSA, whether it's DOT, whether it's FHSA, whatever organization, and there are several of them, you know, the Highway Administration, the CDSA, all these different people in strategic places. Why is it that we never see anyone with trucking experience ever in those places?
Yeah, so they're going to be pointed places, right? So the president of the United States actually points who they want in those positions. Is it fair? Absolutely not. Does it need to be changed? Absolutely.
Sean Duffy is a great talker. He's a great correspondent working for Fox News because that's where he's got his start. Well, he got his start earlier than that, but that's what everybody knows him from. Did he ever work a day in his life in trucking? Not one. Not one. He's never driven a truck once in his life. Same thing with Derek Bars. Same thing with any of the other leaders. I don't care who you talk about. Those I know and those I don't. None of them have worked in trucking.
Yeah, no, and that's the problem, right? So when you use a appointed person to run, as I like to say, is why do you allow somebody, a heart surgeon, has to go know what's going on, right? And the people that are over heart surgeons, they know what's going on. You know what I mean? They do a full investigation. The people that we have over us has never drove a truck. So how do they know the lifestyle we're living other than, you know, using fake studies? Well, excuse me, I'm not going to say fake studies. Using studies, you know, on a track and not in the real world, right? You know, they key point the people that they want to do these studies with. They don't use owner operators. They don't use the guy that's out here doing it. No, they use people like Swift and JB Hunt, the ones that are actually getting money from them, you know, and funding it. So again, do we have you're going to say it again, gerrymandating or whatever you call it. Yeah. So I mean, do we have that even in our studies? When I'm researching, absolutely, I see it. You know, so And can studies go in a direction that they want them to push them at? Absolutely. Like I said the other day to, Boss Man, I said, look, how does people do this without people knowing about it, right? If you were throwing money and I said, hey, you're going to take these runs for $10 a mile, you're not going to ask questions. You're going to just do it because you're trying to feed your family, right? You're going to look at that $10 a mile.
Sean, I'm being nice to you, brother, but you kind of put it differently. You use different money, but yeah, I mean, you're selling me $2 short a mile, but okay. Same point though. I mean, think about it. Why is it we're being fed today with the idea that everything's going to be fixed and it's not? The reason things are going on the way they are is because it's lining other people's pockets. Think about it.
Absolutely. So you look at it, but how do you know the ATA doesn't know that the OOIDA and the FMCSA is all working that same agenda, right? Why have they not sat down in one room and say, hey, what are we pushing for, right? And again, how do you do that? You keep them separated, right? We're looking at this in the industry right now, right? Non-domiciles. We're keeping a separation so that way they're fighting each other. Look at the ATA and the OOIDA. They're not really working on the same team. They're working for their own purposes, right? So if you wanted them to keep the argument going, you just start feeding them a little bit of money at a time, and they keep focusing on what they're doing, right? The ATA has a branch off. I don't know if you know this or not, but they have I think it's the MCT or MTC.
You said it was something like the TCM. I don't
know.
Yeah,
TCM. It could be Technology Maintenance Council, right? Again, these guys work along with PACCAR, Volvo. All these big major things for sensors for autonomous related stuff. So how is it that they don't understand?
Did you guys watching ever wonder why it is every single time within the last 10 years, everybody was pushing safety tech. This was before all this automated stuff happened, right? Well, now you know why. Now you can see what's actually happening. These people knew 10 years ago what they were doing. Were they going to say something to you? No. Were they going to let the cat out of the bag? No. Why? Because somebody's sitting on $500,000, maybe $500 million right now, and they're going to rug pull and move, and people like you and me are left held back. That's what they do. That's how they do it.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we're seeing, right? You see the money trail, and then you follow that back. I mean, that's the way any journalist, investigator, that's what they look for, is where the money's at. And when you start looking in the money, like I said, you start using a calculator and you go, wow, these numbers are humongous. And what are we doing, right? We see the trucking industry right now and how it's fallen down, right? Far as fuel mileage goes for our fuel, right? Diesel prices are extremely high. If we're going to take billions and billions of dollars invested in for autonomous vehicles, let me tell you guys, you could take that money invested back into the truck drivers that are already here. We wouldn't have to be doing the freight so cheap, right? We look at the fuel prices, just for example. We look at back in the early days when percentages were done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Keep going. I'm holding up.
Yeah. So I mean, we look at the back in the day what the prices were. Everything was done by like a poundage, right? So most things, for example, let's just say a thing of tomatoes, right? They gave 15% aside for trucking, for transportation side of it, right? Now we're seeing stuff that's not even 15%. We're seeing less than 1% of the products being moved across the country, and that poundage doesn't work out right. So where's the money going? You have to look. We hear brokers say, "Oh, well, we're getting this much percentage," but are they really getting this much percentage? We hear the consumer saying that at a market that, oh, well, we're not making that much money. We're only making this much. We hear the farmers, right? The farmers are saying, hey, we're only making this little much. Where is the money trail? So when you start investigating.
Yeah. I was going to say, speaking of money, if you guys want an idea of exactly what is going on with trucking, let me play something. This report that we're looking at with Fox News, it's not that old. It's I think within 6 months that it was filed. But I want you to watch this report, which I've kind of edited for time purposes. It's 50 seconds long. But I want you to think about it in terms of our industry. And think about that now. Just replace names, if you will. Okay. On the other end of this, I want you to ask yourself one key question. What if it were your job? Think about it this way.
Benson, Guy, it's always a pleasure. Wonderful to see you again. We like that big brain of yours, Guy. Your assessment on this. Nancy Pelosi made $130 million, one report said, off of investments while in office, including stock trading. It's an 816% return, Guy. She beat even Warren Buffett over the last decade and the S&P by about 550 points. What do you think?
If she's
Warren Buffett, that's hard, but keep going.
had a roughly 17,000% return on investment, that is just truly unbelievable, right? If she's beating the market by 6, 7, 800% in a lot of cases, you might say that she's brilliant and incredibly talented, more so than any of these other oracles that you mentioned earlier. Or maybe there is something else involved here where her power and her position put her in a place where she could benefit financially from it. So I don't want to make any specific allegations, but you look at the totality, and I think the average person says, okay, come on, reforms clearly needed her here, rather, with Pelosi being the poster child on her way out of Congress.
Now think about that. Now think about that in terms of the effect on our industry. I mean, clearly, obviously, that was a prelude. I think, and this is just my opinion, mind you, of what's truly happening to our industry. If someone as big in, all of this as her can do it as blatantly as she can, what stops Chris Spears? What stops Sean Duffy? What stops a half a dozen other people whose names I've seen, but I can't remember sitting here talking on camera? What stops them from doing that very same thing? And in retrospect of that, selling out your job, think about that. The reason I played that is because I want you people to wake up. 10-4 DC is coming. That's your opportunity to act. We the Truckers Unite Now, they are your opportunity to connect with other people. Trucking City helps you do that. And September 30th is around the freaking corner. All of those things are separate, but united in one. We need to take back trucking. We need to make sure the 86% of us that move American freight across the country can still do it in another 10 years. Pay attention, my friends. It's coming. Continue your thoughts, Sean. I didn't want to be rude, but yeah. I wanted to put that in perspective.
Absolutely. And I mean, and that's the right way to do it, right? Is you look at what history's done, right? And then you start saying, okay, if this worked then, I mean, and there is a bill right now that's actually being passed around Congress right now to actually make it to where they can't invest in stock while they're congressmen. And it's funny, I don't know if you've seen some of the reviews on it. It's pretty crazy. We got a gentleman from Florida, Rick Scott, that he was like, how can you control me to be rich? I don't want to be poor. I want to be rich. And it's all like, okay, if this guy's saying this, while they're trying to pass a bill, these are the people we don't want in there, right? We want people that is not there to fill their pocket. We want people there that's actually supporting the people of America, right? Making the right decisions for us, not right decisions for what their grandbabies
go ahead
or
and challenge us on your thought on screen. Go ahead. I mean, I it's interesting. I was thinking the same thing when I got back here this morning and started looking up material. You're so right, but why do you even bring Trump into this? What makes you say that?
Me and one of my girlfriends were talking about this the other day. Like during a lot of his press releases, he'll make like little side comments like, "Oh, rare earths are going up," or "Rare earths are a lot valuable," and then all of a sudden, a couple
what's
days
the significant?
Later, the price goes up on the stock.
What's the significance of rare earths? Why do you suppose that matters?
Because rare earths are like a lot of things are made out of rare earths, like batteries, magnets.
Come on,
So
I'm
on
giving
and
you,
so forth.
I'm giving you runway here. I'm giving you runway here. Come on, man.
Technology.
So I mean, I'm just using the rare earth as the example because I think that was the
Exactly.
last side comment I called
Exactly. Exactly. Keep going. You're in there, man.
So-
You're so close to the home run. It's not funny.
So it's like he's still investing, and that's another thing. Like he's still investing. So
Okay.
I to me it just shows like a little sideway.
Your anticipation is killing me. Semi, you're killing me. The rare earths is significant because every bit of rare earth we invest in today, or Trump tries to invest in, gives him a sure foot in the automation that threatens our jobs.
Absolutely. So you look at the technology that's going along beside toll roads. You look at the billions of dollars that they invested into it, right?
Mhm.
And cameras, flock cameras, is
Yep.
the level 8 inspections. That's
Yep.
all rare earth material that you have to use. So do you want to produce that? Absolutely.
Well,
I tried giving it to you, Semi.
I will add to that.
I swung and I missed.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. No problem. Go
There's
ahead,
another
Brooke.
reason why the man is doing that. He's also got stock in Axon cameras, which is taking over Flock, and it's also what the most of your police officers and things use as body armor cameras. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to look at you got to look at what the bigger picture is. This is what I always tell everybody. When somebody says something, you go immediately and you start researching what they're talking about, right? And what we're finding in trucking, they always have these three little emblems there, right? The NCTS, FNCSA, all these little,
CBSA and all those,
all this, right? So then you start looking into these guys, and then you start going, okay, who are they affiliated with, right? And then you see these little branches off of what I said earlier, the what was it, the NTC or whatever it is,
TCM.
So so we look at these things, right? And then we start searching into them and where the dots connects. If you were to stick it on a map, we do trucking all the time, right? And we know where we're going, right? That's what we do when we're researching, right? We were looking at a place that, okay, it brought us here. How's it going to get us across the country? How are we going to pinpoint these dots to make sure everything is connecting? Or if it doesn't connect, right? We look at names. We look at the people that are in place. We look at how the organization's running. What's their agenda? How are their agenda going to push it? So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of people now are starting to see going, wow, man, this has been played out for a decade already. And we're now catching on to it. Why? It's because, autonomous just came out and we're starting to, they're saying, oh, we're only going to put this many out on the road. And then we look at Aurora and all these other ones are saying, hey, we got 50,000 coming and we got 200,000 here, so all these numbers that you see, you have to follow that wave and connect it. And truck drivers, honestly, I say if we all get together and we send that one message across the pond, as I call it, the skipping rock or putting your voice on a microphone and let it echo all the way across this nation, should be that our jobs are not to be replaced. This is how our family this is how we feed our family. So is it a great business? Absolutely. This gives opportunity. I talk to people at the age of 21 years old that can actually afford and they save their money and buy a truck and go over the road. They're wanting them to live that American dream. And if we take the middle class away, we now have rich and poor, no middle class. And middle class is what runs us in this country. Believe it or not, we pay the most taxes.
That's the reason why I titled this the way I did. Has trucking lost its middle class mind? Because honestly, the way things are being packed in today with influence, lobbying, and the money floating around Washington, there is nothing called middle class trucking anymore. It's just gone. It's out of here. It's a thing of the past. But before anybody else barks on that, I've got an alternate question. Or is it? Is it really too late? Think about that. Tell me if you're watching this in the comments, in the chat, or comments under the replay. Do you think it's too late? Do you think we have the ability to bring back trucking? For the middle class, that is, for the 86% of us that are left? Do you think we have an opportunity to save what's left of the industry? If you do, I want to hear from you. Put it in the comments. Put it in the chat. Let us know. I want to hear from you. What are you going to say?
I think we're at the critical point.
Mhm.
Like we're right there at the critical point. Like if it goes a little further, we're gonna lose it. So I think it's critical that we
Define
step up
define
together
little
and
define a little further in your mind. What does that mean?
that if we continue to just let the big if we continue to running behind the big companies, the big money, then they're gonna push us out. And we're not gonna we're gonna be in a position where we can't afford to do anything else. We're just gonna be pushed out of trucks.
So
So that's what,
so you solidly think and you solidly believe that there is a point of no return, but you also think, according to what I'm hearing, you think we have not reached that yet.
not yet, but we're close. I think that if we don't act now, we're gonna get to that point of no return, and we're just gonna go right off the cliff.
What do you think that point is?
Once I think that once the full automation of these driverless trucks, once it becomes scaled, then it's just gonna be a runaway.
I
from there
disagree.
on.
I disagree. They can automate trucks and they can start out with their pilot and they can automate maybe 2,000 trucks. Okay. That's not the POR.
Yeah.
That to me, that is not even close to the POR. Because
What I would say,
honestly, there's too many and there's too many things in this industry going on at once that would not be a point of no return. So, Sean, what say you?
no, I think the no point of return is the Build American 250 Act, right? I mean, yeah, we can amend stuff out of it and all that, but I mean, if you start paving the way with letting the technology to come in the way it is as fast as it is, we look at insurance. I mean, you look at the whole system, right? Are we
Right.
close to a notable point of return? I think when I say no to point of return would be, can a 21-year-old kid afford the insurance to put his truck out on the road? Can he afford the cost of tires? Can he afford the cost of fuel? So are we close to a no to point of return? Absolutely.
Can I
mean,
make a
I think he's right.
can I make a suggestion? I heard, and this is something I think you and I have talked about, Sean. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there was one provision being considered and entered into the 250 bill that, if passed, would be a deal breaker. And that is, and I'm trying to think of a way to word this so it doesn't scare people, because I'm not about, Jerry Springer style shows here. If there is a provision that limits liability, there already is to a small extent, but if they put one in the 250 bill that basically exempts any of the automated trucking companies from ever being sued, that to me is the point of no return. Because if I'm not mistaken, that does not exist as of right now. They're considering it, and a lot of lawyers are fighting it, but it doesn't exist right now. Am I correct? I think I am. All right.
No, so there is a bill that's in the Build American 250 Act where it's basically, so here's the problem. When we look in bills, they put it in not plain English, right? They put it in lawyers. I always say it's a whole different language that you have to actually learn. Yeah. So is there it on there? Absolutely. They actually have it where technology, how it would work is basically the insurance would say, well, there wasn't a driver in there. It's not a truck. The technology company say, well, it's not our fault. It's the carrier fault, right? So you play this game of who is at fault, right? So then we look at the insurance companies that's saying, hey, we want to almost cap the industry when every time there was an accident. It's called a nuclear verdict, right? So we look at these nuclear verdicts and go, okay, if your family is going to get 10 million is the top's money, but they're going to sue for 100 million, all they get is 10 million. That's a cap. I don't care how you look at it, right? You're always owed your
Jonathan Judge, who joined in the audience, says yes, that's the Greer versus American Honda versus Supreme Court precedent. That's the biggest problem we have been trying to explain to everyone. So I think I hit a nerve. So
Yeah, no, and Jonathan or KSG is actually right on the money, right?
that's okay.
Because
Yeah, I keep
the-
confusing that. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I appreciate that.
yeah,
Sorry.
so I mean, he's right, right? So you look back at just
They aren't
that's one
going to get
for
anything.
that's one for example, right? So you look you look at Facebook, right? You look at ChatGPT. All these tech companies have been sued for millions and millions of dollars. But at the end, when that money's ran dry, how are you going to get more out of them, right? We look at Facebook, right? When kids were actually using the technology and they were offing themselves off, you know, they said, hey, we're going to put this money aside, and here it is. You can't sue anymore, right? You can't sue Facebook anymore for actually giving your data out, right? They just had this a couple years ago. We look at, you know, you could get like $2 if you signed in on there, and you signed it, you would never sue them again, right? So what are they going to do with the technology and self-driving vehicles? And that's where you want to follow. You want to be able to stay on top of that. You want to be ahead of the game. Are they putting it in the Build American 250 Act? Absolutely. We have to look at all the things, you know, Roe versus Wade, all these things that you've seen. How can it actually do it when they get into working form, you know? So, I mean, it's these are the things that where I say truck drivers should get involved. You know, we're sitting
We
at
need to get involved because
we're sitting at dock.
We need to get involved only because everything about our future depends. Every dollar per mile that you're vying for, everything that happens, every day you're out there, every hour you fight for, you know, on your hours of service clock, every rule and provision that says you're allowed up to 80,000 pounds, every law that differs from state to state, everything that happens with the data transparency involved in, and this is just me thinking out loud. I'm not looking at any script or anything like that. I'm just thinking out loud. So many things that happen with you day to day on the road while you're driving are affected by what's being decided in this 250 bill coming up September 30th. So every single thing that you know of to be real and normal and tolerable, if you think it's workable, fine, do nothing. If you enjoy being controlled, do nothing, fine. I love you, brother. I'm passing you on the highway saying kiss my ass on the way to the finish line. But if you want change,
but then again, we look again, right? So as we're doing our research, the development, if you look at the year of right now, everybody's saying, hey, I'm making money this year. Well, you got to look at it. Well, it's election year. It's this Build American 250, right? Again, when I said, when you're chasing that dollar for $10 a mile, are you going to look around and see if you're working together as a same team, or do you going to go chase the money? And and that's what's happening right now, right? I talk to drivers all the time. They're like, man, why do I want to get involved right now? Heck, last year I was starving, and this year I can put some more groceries on my table. So I'm working harder to do it, right? So
it bothered me the few people. It bothered me the few people that Vince ran into that one video he did. The few people, I say this liberally because he had a few people that just didn't want to get involved. They felt comfortable, or they didn't want to be on camera or whatever. My thought was, why, dude? This is your future. This is everything you need to fight for. So I don't understand that. I mean, I get why they do it, but why, dude? It's you.
Again, you have to look at the human, right? You have to look at the mindset of them saying, hey, the last 2 years I starved to death and I couldn't make really much money, and right now at this moment I can make money. So what are you going to do, right? Are you going to look in to say, hey, what's going on with my next future? Are you looking at it like Faye said it? You know, I'm just going on into this and trying to make as much as I can and get out of it, right? So,
you know, boss
do you
man,
have those? Do you have those mindset people? Absolutely. So, how do you get them involved, right? You have to start explaining them the little steps and saying, hey, in this research, this is what we've seen. This is how it's going to affect you.
Thank you.
Then they start opening their eyes and saying, hey, you know what? I need to get involved, because right now, no one really knows that there's a problem in the industry, right? No one's really they talk about it, right? They hear something and they talk about it, but they actually don't study it and say, hey, you know what? Here's the thing. I mean, we have people that write research and they don't even know what they wrote, you know?
I think we got Grumpy wanting to chime in. Go ahead, Grumpy.
I was just wanting to add to what you just said about why, you know, whenever Vince was doing those interviews with certain people, they didn't want to be on camera, or they
just
kind of didn't want to talk about it.
Sure.
You know, the way I'm seeing it, because, you know, even whenever I was still driving, I would talk to drivers out there, not only the owner operators, but company drivers as well. Most
Right.
of them fear being sued, being put in jail, their businesses being messed up and closed down. That's one of the biggest things we got going on is our government is getting too big, and they got, you know, they got their big boy pants on, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna take you all down. And yes, it's gonna take all of us to unite in order to push against them, because otherwise we're just pawns on a chessboard. And yes, the pawns on a chessboard can put the king into check, but you got to know what positions to do it. You got to know how to play the game.
Well, and here's the double-edged sword in what you just said, and that is, I mean, do you gain more from staying quiet, or do you gain more from fighting for a possibility? See, every person in trucking has a different scenario. See, and that's why I prefaced what I said a minute ago with I understand why some people didn't want to talk to Vince. It's not in Vince approaching them. It's not in being, quote, public or on camera, any of that. It's just simply whether or not the person at the time was deciding whether it was worth it for them to make that sudden switch from, okay, let me do my normal thing, which this man's in front of my face with a camera, and let me suddenly get vocal. Everybody's got that decision process they have to go through. Some people, like Sean said a minute ago, some people are just in it to get enough to live retirement, and others are building a future for their kids. You know, so every single one of us has to think of it in terms, you know, of what we have at stake. You know, myself, I think of things from a two-pronged approach. Number one, I'm looking to leave my kids something, but number two, I'm also looking to educate others. So from the perspective of where I drive my truck, I'm looking for a future for them. But from this trucking city perspective, I want to make sure that everybody watching has not only the ability to learn right from wrong, but the ability to contribute in that conversation. So every single person's different. So from what you just said, yes, I totally get what you're saying, Grumpy, and I applaud you. But more to Sean's point, the more we sit on the sidelines and we don't do anything, you know, if there's, think about it, if there's, let's say there's 400,000 people that fit latter category of people that could but didn't, that's a huge chunk of difference. That would be a huge difference outcome in 10-4-DC's purpose. Think about it. And that's
then you have to look at the social media right now, right? There is so much stuff that you could put Trump out there and say certain things, right? Like, hey, these flock cameras right now, you guys are just gonna have to live with it because it's gonna make us rich, right? If you don't have it, if we don't have what somebody wants, they're gonna want it, right? So can you actually make it sound like there's not a problem in the trucking industry? Absolutely. Do you think they're utilizing that? Absolutely. So I mean, we have to look at
giving Vince all the proper credit for his imitation. We're gonna make a lot of money. I mean,
yeah,
had to do that. I'm sorry.
But I mean, here's the thing, though. A lot of people don't understand that social media could be a good thing or a bad thing. It could work for you, or it could work against you. And we're seeing that there's certain things. You know, look at Aurora, right? They're saying, hey, we're only going to put this many out. Then you actually go and look in the machine, and you see what they're saying that they're going to give, what they're going to put out on the road. It's total different numbers than what the media is showing. So again, if you only see one side of the story and you're not seeing the whole story, what are you really seeing?
Question.
You know,
good question. Good point. What's your thoughts, Semi? Why ask that question? Why is that so important?
Because our insurance keeps going up every year, and insurance is based off risk. So
true.
What is the risk? How are the insurance companies going to calculate the risk for an automated truck compared to adjusting or accounting for the risk of an actual human driver.
How about this? How about let's dovetail off that, because I like how you're thinking. But let's dovetail off that. Think about the insurance market right now. It's controlled by three main players, right? I may be wrong, but I think it's AIG, and there's two other big investment groups. Warren Buffett's one of them, but the three big players for insurance, right? And all of them are pricing it based on, as you say, risk, right? Well, think about what happens if all this automation goes into play and everything's playing around. And, well, I think back 10 years ago, totally separate argument, right? 10 years ago, when all this talk about, what is it, ABS and all this lane departure technology, when all that was being originally entered in and they were talking about everybody had to have it, right? What was the first thing the insurance companies did?
We'll lower your insurance rates.
Thank you. Exactly. So think about that now in terms of what's going on right now. How backwards is all of this?
And then you have to look into how much money they're making, right? Look at Progressive. Nobody's looking at Progressive at all, right? They're at their all-time high of ever making money, right? Their most investments, everything is at all-time high, right? You look at Great West, you look at what's the other one? Warren Buffett's one that he does, which is public traded. So we look at all these guys that are in the major players, and you look at how much.
I usually remember who that is too.
It's Berkshire.
Berkshire, thank you.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Berkshire Hathaway. Yep.
So we look at these guys, right, and we say, man, you guys are making the all-time high. How is this possible when we're barely making any money? As truck drivers, right? We're taking cheap rate, and you still have not lowered the insurance down, but yet our prices go down. We look at how compared from the 60s to now. It's insane.
And here's what's infuriating to me. They put all this into play, almost giving you as the consumer no choice but to capitulate in the direction they want you to go in. And then what are you left with? You're left with no alternative but to follow the masses. You're left with no alternative but to do what they want you to do. But that's against your interest, because to do that means you quite honestly have to give up everything you believe. Now, how freaking ironic is that? And I don't know about the person watching this show right now, but I don't give up that easily.
What we have to look at, right, is, okay, so when I go to buy something in my business, right, if I'm going to buy a trailer that's $20,000, I want to have $40,000 in my bank account, because that's how I can adjust that, right, if something breaks. So what is the insurance company doing right now? If they're making an all-time high, are they saving up money because they don't know what the risks are, right, and they're at their all-time high on it? Are they going to invest into autonomous because now they have the money to see how this technology is going to work? I don't know. I'm going to tell you what I do and how I run my business is doing the same thing as how they running their business right now, according to our standards of how we do things. And I really believe that's what the move is.
I agree with what you're saying, but I'm going to go a step further and say I run my business on what I consider known variables are. Now, if I know something to be true, then I know I can recoup the cost that it costs me to acquire the mark I'm looking for, whether it's a load, a run, a contract, whatever. You just follow me on that thought for just a minute. Now, when you have a group of known variables, it's easy to make a decision, and it's easy to equate a quarter or a segment or a statement or whatever, right? Now think about this. And the reason I bring this up is because for the longest time, we've been operating on bold statements made from CEOs, leaders, politicians, and whatnot on what they want to have happen. And they make these statements based on projections they think is in place that they'll reach. In other words, we're going to have X done by Y, and we're going to do it because of Z, right? So they paint the prescription like they're a doctor writing a prescription, right? And what happens invariably, they always fall short. They never meet the mark, and they have egg on their face. Well, I've said for years that, and I probably made no sense, but forgive me if that's the case. But I've said for years, what they're doing is they're trying to make the impossible possible with a psychedelic version of what they think is possible. And they're running through the experiments like they already know the result. It never happens, and they're patting themselves on the back if they're lucky. And that's the problem. They're putting themselves in a place where they don't know the result, but they're trying to run through the experiments like they've already predicted it. And it's bullshit. It's dangerous. And I think that's what's winding up to be our problem. And we're just sitting here accepting it because we think they know better than us. And they don't. And that's what bothers me.
Well, yeah, and you're 100% right. So if you're trying to sell a car, you know, what are you trying to do? You're trying to make it sound like this thing's got brand new tires on it. It's got all this. This is the same thing that they're doing with autonomous, right? They're selling a picture of it going down the road, and it's going to last you 100,000 miles, and it's never going to break down. It's never going to have maintenance costs. It's not going to have, you know, the fuel's going to be down. It's going to be this and that, you know. So they're doing the same exact thing, and that's great. That's the American dream. That's how you're supposed to do it. But what is the problem is there's a lot of lives at stake in this. You know, this is not just a family of four that could be, you know,
this
injured.
is not an average family vacation. This is a permanent result of something that could affect a lot of people.
Absolutely. And that's not what nobody's looking at, right? Everybody's looking at the picture of like, hey, you know what? They got a choice to live the American dream as well. And I give them that, you know. But when we look at the technology, we should not be putting people's lives in danger because you're greedy and you want money. I mean, and that's how I'm going to boil it down.
We can't put people's lives in. No, I agree with what you're saying, but we can't put people's lives in danger on intuition. That's what's going on here. They are doing this on intuition, not evidence, not facts. It's purely somebody's existing thought on what's possible. There is no evidence to back up any of these projections. None.
Well, I mean, there's movies. We can use, you know, Back to the Future if you like.
Oh, that's all do what we do on Terminator. Sure. Come on.
Skynet's going to take over, bro.
Yeah, right. Skynet. Give me a break. I get what you're saying, Sean, but I mean, there's more to life than Back to the Future. Marty McFly was in a movie. It's not a real life scenario. Good Lord, people.
Well, I mean, and that's crazy when politicians are using stuff like this, right? When they're saying, hey, you know what, the Back to the Future movie, you know, and it's all like,
yeah.
I was like, did he just say that? You know, like,
really?
You know, our lives are going to be at stake because you watched Back to the Future and this is what we're going to be up against. Like, come on, man. You know, and that's shameful. Like a politician should not be quoting a movie to real world stuff because, I mean, there's people's life at stake, right? Like I keep saying over and over again.
Funny.
Your family,
when you first told me about that, I laughed. I thought that was funny. But then I saw it for myself. He really does talk about Ron DeSantis, you know, a man considering a presidential run. I don't know if he's going to do it or not, but he's actually using Marty McFly to justify automation in his own damn state.
Wasn't he being looked at for taking over the ATA at one point?
No, not at all. Oh. No, that went to somebody else, but Ron DeSantis, no.
Yeah, no. And here's the thing, right? You know, when we look at Florida and they're investing toll money, $142 million to build these test sites, right? You know, how is it that people are paying toll roads because it's supposed to go to toll roads and build the infrastructure of the roads? Yet when you look in the trail, $142 million to build stuff. So I mean, it's not fair to the American people. It's not what toll roads were designed to do, to take the money and invest it on how they want to invest it. It's that toll roads were invested to build the infrastructure that we drive down. We're paying it, you know, and you look at a car versus a semi of how much we're actually paying. We pay twice as much. So, you know, again, why are we paying for stuff for our for our replacement, right? I've never seen any other industry. I was watching
Here's
a
a weird.
clip.
Here is a weird thought. I mean, it just occurred to me as you were saying that we price risk when it comes to toll roads, right? We price risk, right? So the reason that I'm losing my place here, the reason that the biggest variance between tolls on trucks versus cars exists is because of risk. Because when we have a bunch of drivers who obviously drive larger vehicles, heavier, and cause more wear and tear and all that kind of stuff, but we also have to consider the fact that they make statistically different decisions than regular car drivers. I mean, if you lose control of a car and you bounce off a Jersey wall, the worst you're going to do is scrape the Jersey wall, right? You're not really going to damage anything. But if you lose control of a semi truck, you can not only take out the Jersey wall, but you can take out the accompanying infrastructure that Jersey wall is protecting. So that's a large part of damage. So
this is kind of part of the subject, but a little off.
Yeah,
because
either
it's from
bounce
the
off my
past.
point, yeah, or not. I don't
Well,
care.
what I'm going to bounce
I was
off
going
of is the
somewhere.
idea.
Yeah, I was going.
You're saying
somewhere
this
with
is Florida. Saying this is Florida. They're
Every-
wanting to get their toll road set up for this autonomous, right? Is that what you're saying?
That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Okay. Now, look back at a show we done here not long ago that involved basically, let's just put it this way, the yo-yo that decided to do a damn illegal U-turn on the turnpike. And it's kind of strange how this is kind of possibly fitting in. I'm seeing puzzle pieces fitting right here.
Okay. Let me stop you. And the reason is because you're missing the obvious piece. What Sean's alluding to, and what I was trying to get to with my explanation, is what they want to do eventually is with all this money, they want to eventually develop standalone lanes that will not house regular car drivers. Like you and me, we won't be in these lanes. These lanes will specifically occupy only driverless trucks.
They're doing that in
What they're trying to
now,
do,
aren't they?
yeah, what they're trying to do is what they're trying to do is build the infrastructure that has just only driverless trucks that are all predictable, all housed, and all maintained to do one thing, and that's carry the volume of the freight that they want to take away from us. You know, we have to navigate regular traffic. We have to deal with traffic lights and other people.
Okay.
But these
All right.
specific
I
toll
see your
roads are
point, but
trying
I'm raising
Right.
you something on
Yeah.
this.
I
The
see
factor
exactly
of it
what-
is,
Go
think
ahead.
about
Go
it.
ahead,
This
Grumpy.
is Florida. This is Florida, where that happened at, where that big lawsuit happened at, because of a basically non-domicile decided to do a U-turn, took out a
Okay.
family.
Right.
Okay. What it looks like to me, and the pieces I'm putting together, is they want to do away with any human drivers of 18 wheelers in their state, and they want to just have it for autonomous only. You see what I'm
And you
talking
use-
about?
And you use the
Not
illegal.
really, but
It-
kind
what,
of.
what he's saying is if you took a legal front, right? So you see Sean Duffy in here and saying, "Oh my goodness, we have a problem with illegals, right? We have non-domiciles out here. We're flooded the market with them, right?" Florida is where they did the U-turn at, right? So this is where he's showing off of all the videos that he uses when he says it's illegal. Well, why wouldn't you want to invest $142 million? You got guys out here doing illegal U-turns, and you got guys that can't drive. Now you use that face,
Thank you.
the money to put it where it's at. So if I was a Floridian right now and they say, well, geez, you invested $142 million into it, why don't we invest more? These guys are out here killing families and unaliving everybody because they're doing U-turns. I'm for
Yep.
autonomous, right? So you use the media, and I've been saying this for ever since I've seen Sean Duffy come into office, and I watch every single video he does. He uses a face to keep you looking at it, why behind the scenes they're doing something totally different. And this is exactly one of these quick quote pros that I'm talking about that you use, that Grumpy's talking about. So yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Grumpy, I'll give it to you. You got one up on me, but let me one up both of you. Or let me ask you a question.
I got your back,
Do you
Grumpy.
think, Okay, so y'all are conspiring behind the host. I see how you are. All right.
Somebody's got it.
Think about this, though. Think about this. Despite all the goings on, do you think that they're doing all of this on purpose? So you think, are we being reshaped around investments in technology and other people's way of basically shaping future for money? Forget what we do. Forget what the purpose is. We've been sitting here talking about safety and all this other stuff. But think about it. The policy that we're talking about, build to 250 and beyond, it's around either one of two things: the needs of trucking or the needs of the investors. So what do you guys think? Put it in the comments. Let me know what you watching think. But I want to hear from you in the audience as well. But Grumpy, I mean, you just said what you said.
Yeah.
Stand on both statements.
I'm gonna go with Plan B there, because I believe that a majority of the ones that are investing in this, they can roll it through the stock. They can make money from it. They're unable to make much money off of us human drivers. There's a lot of electronic stuff there that's going into the investing of these trucks. So they can buy stock in this and this and this, and then they're making more money. So that's another thing to it. Besides,
well, we just determined, what the probability is on the whole, investment thing is. I mean, look at the thing playing on the right of the screen.
I know.
She set the standard for this. I mean, so that's why I mention it, because I mean, that's how trucking's going today.
And I mean, I am for us drivers. I 100% am, because I drove for 25 plus years up until I couldn't drive anymore. Okay.
Yep.
Our problem is it's going to be rather hard. And I do mean hard. It's like pulling teeth on alligators, which is almost impossible unless you knock the alligator out. To basically supersede the big companies and push them away to where they're not wanting to invest in autonomous. It's going to be rather hard.
If you listen to everybody that says exactly what you just said, there's no hope. There's no sense in doing anything. You just painted a picture that tells everybody why bother. So now I'm going to tell you
I've seen it time and time again.
I'm going to tell you for just a second to reverse your position and say, why do we bother? What's in it for you?
Well, what would be in it for me was the factor that I know that I have friends, I have family that are drivers, and I respect them for that. And I drove for, like I said, for 25 plus years out there. So I've been all over.
Right.
And I don't want to see all this go on. I really don't. But unfortunately, it's unless we have somebody to back us big time to go in there and understands all their lingo that they put in these big old stacks of paper and can push us out and say, hey, I have this many people right here, that have signed petitions and things, and they don't want this to happen. And they go up and actually fight for us that, I'm going to just say they had to wear the nice little pretty suits and ties and be very firm with law. Basically, it's going to have to be a good lawyer or law firm that will back us truckers that want us truck drivers to remain here on the highways and to get rid of the autonomous stuff.
Yeah.
And it's rather hard to do that, because even if all of us truck drivers pull together and put our money together to pay for something like that, it would still be a small dent.
So here's my question. Why would you use a system?
Go ahead.
Why would you use a system that's already that's not going to go in your favor, right? So if let's just say we all stuck $100 together and we paid a lawyer, right? How easy is it to get a lawyer to say, hey, you know what, dude, I just made $1.8 million off of truck drivers. I'm going to Bahamas. Who cares? Because you just did it yourself, right? That okay, maybe we don't do nothing about it, right? I think
Ask him the $8 question.
I think if truck drivers actually care about the industry, or a person that's involved in the industry, if we all was to do it ourselves, take that $100 that you're talking about or putting our money together and put it in yourself to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to send a letter. I'm going to go there. I'm going to talk. I'm going to do this. You know, these are the things that a system can't be broken, right? There's no way to control a system when there's no money to control, right? We look at the convoy that came across Canada, right? Look what happened. The guy they pulled all of his money. They froze all of his accounts. If people done it, how are they going to freeze everybody and say, oh no, you guys ain't coming here to have a conversation with us? And that's the way we look at it.
Sean, ask him the $8 question.
What's that one?
$8 a mile.
Well, that's the thing. Absolutely. So, if we were to pay you to the $8 a mile, would you start looking into what's going on in the industry? Or are you going to chase that dollar? You're going to go chase the dollar.
Chasing the dollar.
Yeah. I mean,
and that's what they're doing
right.
right now.
Chase after money. Yes.
Oh yeah, both of you giving the same answer I did. Which at first I thought, well, why do that? You know, because part of you says, why sell out the industry? But the obvious part of you is like, well, no, because how can there be an industry if I don't survive it? So that $8 a mile is like, that's my way of surviving. So you have a conundrum at your feet when you're faced with that possibility.
I'm trying to prove a point here because I trump all of y'all as far as driving history and been in this industry as far as driving a commercial vehicle. Okay.
Right.
I got 25 years in it.
Right.
And over those 25 years, we've had a lot of things change. ELDs, you know, we went from paperless logs to ELDs. That was fought and fought and fought. Did we win it? No, we didn't. They still implemented it. We still had to do it. You're chasing after a damn chicken with its head cut off. I know we want it done, but we're going to have to go through legality ways in order to do this.
Okay.
No one's going to listen to us.
But then look at the legality ways that we went through with the LDs.
Okay, so now here's the question. Now here's the question I want to favor everybody with and think about for 10 seconds before anything's said. Okay? To Grumpy's point, yes, we're going to have automation. To Sean's point, there needs to be a lot of reservation to this because there's a lot of ultimate purpose. And to your point is, you know, anything is just too outrageous. My point is this, okay? Everybody's got their part in. Think about it this way. We originally had problems with ABS technology. We originally had problems with lane departure when it first came out. And we today look where we're at, okay? Nothing's threatening us, nothing's killing us except the obvious, okay? Think about it this way. Is there a point? Could there be a point where there's an acceptable norm without a threat to our lives and to our safety? Think about it that way. And the reason I say this, and I'm not trying to be stupid, I'm trying to be realistic here. Yeah, that's me. I'm the realist. Could there be a point where the investors can get what they want, which is the money and the return they're looking for, but at the same time, we get the realizing of the fact that our jobs are not being threatened and that we're not yesterday's fossil? Because that's what it's looking like. The more they put in this thought of automation, the more we see the possibility that we could no longer have a way of life.
Here's one of the things I would suggest and limitations of it. Being that we're not going to probably beat the idea of automation being put in trucking, I say there should be a cap on it.
Go ahead.
I say there should be a cap. So they can't have more than so many semis that are automated to drivers. They have to keep us drivers going.
Okay.
Some way, somehow. They cannot go off and just replace us totally.
Okay, that works until why think Pate says. Well, you can come up here and straighten us out on that. But I mean, I get your point, but that works until it don't. That's my point. It works until it don't. You know what I'm saying?
Well, here's the problem, right? If you look at what they're saying, again, if you get in the machine, if you get in the machine, right, and what they're telling you is, oh, we're not going to replace all the trucks. What we're going to do is just make it to where you have different jobs into it, right? But then we have to look at, okay, what are you going to do with autonomous? How are you going to do the pre-trips? Are you going to do the strapping down? Are you going to, open up and close the doors?
Don't even
Nobody
get me started on that.
Yeah. So what you're saying is let's put a cap on them of saying that they can only have so many in the industry. You can't really, honestly. That would be like saying Swift can only have so many trucks, right?
That's
But
the other thing.
Here's the difference.
That's the other thing.
But here's the
Sean,
difference.
You forced my hand. Yeah, you forced my hand.
But here's
What
the
about
difference.
that?
But here's
What
the
about
difference. Well, here's the difference. So Swift is not going to be having technology that one can be hacked and be a terrorist event against us, right? So they could have as many as they need. They're not
Right.
going to have technology that might glitch out and create an accident on the family, right? They also don't have Swift don't have the technology to where if somebody's walking behind and it backs into somebody that's walking behind it and it crushes them between the building because the system glitched out, right? There's so many things that could kill people if they ain't done right. So that's the difference between how do you look at this and say, how do we put a cap on it? Or do we say, hey, you know what? You're going to come into this industry, but you're going to do it the way we did it. We're not going to give you bills that pass and pave the way for you and you get the easy way. When we all have to do a logbook, I'll be damned if you ain't going to do a logbook. If we have to get out and put triangles out on the side of the road, you better have somebody in that truck putting out triangles out on the road. We're not going to give you an exemption for, we're going to put lights on it. Because
how many times have I hosted live shows where I've said we need people in the things as pilots?
Well, and here's the thing, Grumpy. You said you got 25 years into the industry, right? In those 25 years, you had to follow mandates and laws that was pushed down on you that you had to follow. Why would we want to let technology to say, hey, you know what? You don't have to follow the rules. You're going to be self-mandating. You're going to be able to do your own pre-trip inspection. Hell, you don't even have to go in through a weigh scale. We don't even want you to weigh it down because your technology is going to be better than the human driver. Let me tell you something. I don't know about you guys. When they're saying that they can get better fuel economy than I can can promise you that's BS because you're doing it on a computer where I know how to drive that truck and shift the gears at the right time. I know every ounce about my truck. Then I will beat them on any time. I don't care. I'll put it up against an 80s model truck to their 2026 truck that I can outshift them going up a hill and actually keeping my RPMs down and maintaining it. For Christ's sakes, look at these Volvos when you go up a hill or these Kenworths. Man, when you get up there, and it's just screaming, right? I don't do those things. So for them to say that the technology is going to be better than a human, I'm going to draw the line in the sand right there and tell them to bring it.
I never stated that the technology is going to be better than us humans. I said that it's there. We're not going to be able to stop it totally. They're going to do it anyhow, just like they did with the ELD system. The drivers said, hell no, we don't want to go to electronic logging. And we lost.
But there's a difference, Grumpy. There's a difference between the ELD, right? The ELD wasn't going to kill anybody, right? That technology was not going to hurt anybody. Yeah, it's going to shorten your pay.
I beg to differ. You look up the statistics and you'll find out ever since we started doing ELDs from paper logs, there has been more accidents than there has been. I promise you. I looked it up the other day. I can't remember what the exact is.
Right. Grumpy, you're right. But everybody in existence has a difference in the way they think of safety and how it's different with everybody. But, when you think about it, I mean, what we're talking about goes far beyond ELDs. It goes beyond whether or not the same rules that apply to you and me when we're on the road, when we're doing the job, are they going to apply to them fucking, pardon my French, are they going to apply to those machines who are not manned by people, who are not responsible to the same rules? That's the problem we're having because, it takes something as simple as what he just mentioned a minute ago. Pre-trip inspections. Who's going to do them? What law is going to say that they even need to be mandated? And what makes it even necessary for these machines that are going to be running the roads even follow the same set of rules that you and I do?
Right. They don't have to go through a weigh scale, right? They got an exemption on it right now.
Here's their crutch on that.
What's that?
Supposedly, whenever these trucks go out, whenever they make their destination, Then they go through them thoroughly and make sure everything's good. Make sure the trailer's good. Make sure the brakes are good. Make sure all that is. Then they send them back out
You're a
and they
pimp,
check
dude.
them at the
Yes, best in
next
class.
place. They're doing it a checkpoint only whenever it stops and whenever it goes in, or whenever they have it fueled. So if they have to stop it at a pilot, for God's sakes, I don't know. I heard somebody say something that they were getting in coots with this auto stuff. If they stop in there, they've already paid somebody that's trained, and they're supposed to go out there and they're supposed to do just like us and make sure the tires are all air properly,
Good question.
make sure all that's good. So that's
Here's a
what
good-
they're going to try to do.
Here's a good one for you, Grumpy. Pay attention. Let's say automated truck drives 400 miles and ends his trip in Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, to be exact. In order to do that, he has to drive through, Fate, correct me if I'm wrong, but the name of the place is St. Croix. That's a way station located just outside of St. Paul that you have to drive through if you're going east or westbound. Okay. Now, it's an automated machine. There's no human person in this whole thing you're talking about, right? But because it's, let's say it's been in service for, I don't know, 8 months, right? Nobody's ever thought to look at the airlines that go from the tractor to the trailer. And mind you, the trailer changes from time to time. That we won't get into that, but the trailer changes from time to time. But that airline servicing that trailer stays the same, right? So that airline is wearing it's getting its fair dose of use, right? And from time to time, you get every point of entry. St. Croix, I think, is what it is. But these people are ball busters right there. Okay, they look at every single thing. Okay, so that airline, it's got a little bit of indentation, right? Okay, it's about to violate policy, and well, there's no driver in the seat. So
Okay.
what do you do
All
about
right, hang
that?
on. Hold the phone
What do
right
you
there.
do
Hold your
about
phone. Hold your phone right there. Oklahoma, state of Oklahoma, my state.
Yeah.
God forbid, but we actually, they sent all the
Good point.
DOT officers
Yes.
and all the highway patrols that would be in contact with these driverless trucks.
Yep.
They will be sent. Okay, if a way station, if it says it's open and it has to come in, it automatically sends a radio wave to that truck. That truck will exit off. It will go into the port of entry, and it will be inspected right there. And then they can tell it to come around to the bay. They will inspect all of it there. And I watched the video on it, and I believe I sent it to you, where they're learning how to do that. They will get a code to be able to get into these things.
The point you're making is a valid one. Grumpy, the problem I have with what we're talking about is who's being held responsible. You and me driving the truck, we get the violation. We get the CSA points. We get the record. We make the corrective action to fix the problem.
Right.
Same thing is not happening with an automated piece of machinery.
And that hasn't come out in the public to where and who is going to be responsible. That's our problem. Yes, I see our problem.
Well, my thing is what we were talking about was how is it fair that technology gets to pave their own destination? They get to pave their own destination by them being self-certified, getting to self-cert their own equipment and everything else. They're not having to follow the same rules that was been in since the 60s of how to drive trucks. They're on their own system. And if this is the case, then why don't we all just do that, Grumpy? Why don't we all not have to run a logbook if we don't want to run a logbook? Why do we not have to do a pre-trip if we don't want to do a pre-trip? Because that's what they have. This is what they're getting. And how's that fair to our industry?
And there again,
and what they're trying to do is they're trying to separate the they from the thems, and I don't like that. You either want an industry that works for everybody equally, or it works for a class of people. Like I set it up. You've got your middle class and you've got your elite. How you want to do it is totally dependent on how you set it up. And right now, we're being threatened by an elite class of people that that think they know better than us, and that's just not right. That's just, I'm sorry, it's just not the way to do things.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not for the idea of that. I don't like it. And yes, somebody should be held responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, they haven't determined who should be yet because, you know,
They're not
they haven't
going
written
to.
the law for it.
They're not going to, Grumpy. That's the
They're not
thing,
going
right?
That's
It's the same thing with the insurance, right? Who's going to be at fault, right? Okay, so it's the carrier, it's the tech company, it's the insurance, it's the other person. You know, it's the shipper. It's their stuff, right? We look at all the things that are being formed around this, right? We look at what happened in the Delilah's law and how that affected when the broker got
And that's
sued,
the other thing.
and how the shipper gets sued. You know, who's
Hey,
going to
yeah.
take and separate the money? And that's the bad part about this. If we're going to say that the industry is going to allow a company to come into our industry and give them free ropes, why ain't we getting free ropes? Why do we have to put?
And
Why
that's
do we
the
have to
other
do free
thing.
trips?
And that's the other thing. Why the hell is it we're sitting here wondering, we're breaking our backs wondering why the hell Delilah's law hasn't even reached the floor? Now maybe what we're talking about tonight makes sense. Why that is by design. They
It's
know
to
what
show
they're
you
doing.
something. It's
They
to make
know
you
what
look
they're
at something.
doing.
Why did
Yep.
they expose Super Ego, right? Why did they
Mhm.
expose Super Ego?
Mhm.
Everybody went tracing the trail on Super Ego instead of going, hey, Delilah law. You know, it was a coincidence that it was right at that time that they were doing their lawsuit with the brokers and everything else. But everybody was looking at Super Ego instead of looking at what was going to be changed behind closed doors. And we do this. They do this to us every single time.
Yep.
Do you think this Chris Spears thing might be just something to keep everybody looking at this instead of looking at what else is? Look what we're
Yep.
coming up to. Look what we're coming down to on our laws, right? So I mean, again, when I say we should be looking at every single angle, transparency is being re-talked about for brokers again. It's coming up.
Every single thing they bring up on all these news segments you see on YouTube, Facebook, all these major suits, they know what they're doing. They already know before they say the first word
Planned
why
it for
it
months.
is. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Why it is they're even doing it. They already know what the result's going to be from the thing they're talking about. They already know. They already figured it out.
Yeah, they can almost just already go ahead and vote yes to it, but they got to make it look good in the media so we all know what's going on. They don't think that the autonomous is going to what their plans are. I see their plan. I see their plan. Do I want to give it out to the media right now? Absolutely not, because if I do give it out, then everybody knows what's going to happen. What we have to do is strategically say, hey, this is how you fight it. You know, this is how you, and when I say fight it, what I'm fighting for is not the technology. I'm fighting for the people that drive on this road, right? When I signed my license and said I'm a professional driver, I signed a thing saying that I will look out for every person on the road that is beside me, behind me, in front of me. And this technology is not doing that. So as my license is signed, I have to stand up and say, hey, you know what? It's time for us to have these conversations and make change, because the people on these roads are not going to be safe with the technology coming in as fast as they are. And we look at how the investors are going to make the money. It's all investor based. It's not safety based.
There's no way they can vet all this stuff. There's no way they can properly maintain the right air of safety with all this stuff coming in such speed. There's no way.
Well, and it's just like you were saying, if you was to go across the port, right? And you're like, how and the hoses is being weared. They have that part figured out, right? They have sensors that they're putting in every single day, right? They got a grant going on right now for trailers because they have everything in the truck where, you know, the technology, if somebody's beside you, it'll beep at you so you don't get over into those lanes. What I want to see research done on is if this system fails, how many accidents that are sideswiped because the technology didn't pick up the vehicle beside them, and they just ripped over. Because when you rely on
what you're saying, and I agree 100% what you're saying, Sean. My thing is accountability. You know, because if we give Aurora permission to run, let's say 10,000 units, and then we give the other 25 companies that we talked about at the start of the show, you know, 1,000 or the same, you know, we got a possibility of being hundreds of thousands of units, and if there's no safety standard behind them, then you've got at any given point all of these arbitrarily safe or not units driving around. We don't know what they're doing or what their accountability standard is, and Could they wreck? Maybe not. Could they have issues? Maybe not. Could they cause a wreck? Maybe not. We don't know these things. And the problem there becomes who's paying the cost. When the first mother driving down the road at 6 a.m. in the morning and a driving rainstorm runs up on the one rig sitting there in the right-hand lane she didn't think was going to happen, boom, who's going to pay that cost? Or that person making that right-hand turn where that rig thought it was a stone instead of a car, who's paying that cost? Or do I need to go on? I mean, we get the point here.
Right.
Why expand it to be hundreds of thousands when right now we know of a select few?
Well, and here's the thing, right? We have to look at why are we going to pave the path for them, and Congress and the Senate and the House is paving a way for them to be around that. You know what I mean? We look at the insurance company that's saying that they're only going to pay out this much and they're going to have nuclear verdicts. We look at Congress and the Build American 250 Act saying that they can self-certify, that they don't have to report how many accidents they have, right?
Yeah,
These are the things as professional drivers should be looking at going, wait a minute, we have to report every single accident that we get involved in.
Yeah.
Why are they allowed to not have to do that, right?
Yeah.
And if they're not having to do that, my PCPs, right?
And I'm hearing you talk about it, and I'm reading the comment as I finish what I'm saying. You're starting what you were talking. This popped up. You're 100% correct. This is what we have to fix immediately. These things we're talking about are currently they're there. They're concerns everyone has, and I'm really honored to know that I'm not just talking out my ass. It's good to know. People, I mean, today is the time. Today, the time is now to act, and we need to make sure the people in the right places know what is at stake. I mean, we're not just talking about hypotheticals here. We're talking about real life scenarios where everyday people on the roads have to know what they're faced with. Okay? There's 3.5 million people with CDL licenses, 3.5 million people that allegedly have skills to back up what they do. There are, I mean, an immeasurable amount of places where mistakes can happen. But you know what? Those mistakes will be multiplied tenfold the moment you introduce an unknown. That unknown is technology that hasn't been thoroughly vetted, thoroughly tested, and thoroughly checked to make sure that every single variable has been accounted for. I don't care how much money you make. I don't give a damn how much your investment is in Aurora or the 15,000 companies that are looking into the technology. But what I do care about is my son and daughter when they're on the roads and all the unknown problems that could occur the moment they get in the lane next to that autonomous truck. I don't care about the money. I do care about their lives. And that's what we need to stand up for. And that's what encourages me about the Jonathan Judge that just come up on my show on comments and said he fully agrees with everything I'm talking about. People, I don't care if I'm right. I don't care if what I have to say makes it beyond the 13 or 14 viewers that could watch my show. And hopefully I hope it's more. But what I do care about is you. When you're on the roads, when you're dealing with the same unknowns we're talking about, I want you to know we are in your corner.
So you did sign the same license I signed, huh?
The same what?
I said you signed the same license I signed, huh? That's what I'm trying to tell people. As a professional driver, there's a different standard that we're held at, right? We're held at the highest of it. You know, look at the alcohol. We got to be zeros. We have to do this. We have to get the adequate amount of sleep. We got to have everything that's pushed to it. Why are we going to allow somebody come in our industry that doesn't have to follow anything that we're regulated that we have to follow? So, you know, get involved.
The other problem, when there's only one small insurance policy to sue, this will spread to all auto insurance premiums. They will skyrocket when the first lawsuit comes. Good point. You know, and that goes to the insurance caps you were talking about last week on Vince's live. Go ahead and elaborate on that, Sean.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what a nuclear verdict is, right? So yeah, you might sue for $100,000, but you're only going to get about $10 million of it, right? A lot of people think
Right.
these nuclear verdicts that they hear, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, C.H. Robinson just got sued for $100 million." But then you look at what
How
they actually.
often do you hear? How often do you hear about limitations or nuclear caps or whatever you're talking to an individual? Never,
Oh.
never. They never limit a person's personal exposure. They will to a corporate giant. They will to a corporation, or in this case,
Catch it
like
up.
we're talking.
Or a public
But
trade
they
company.
won't to a person. They won't do it.
Right. So they're going to do that to a public trade company like Aurora or the 15,000 others that you were just speaking of.
Yep.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Family is only worth 10 million bucks.
What I'm saying is, if you personally are worth $15 million and you get sued, you could lose every bit of that 15 million, right? But if you get a multi-billion-dollar company like Aurora worth billions, they can institute caps where you'll only get $10 million.
So that's what a nuclear verdict is. That's what I keep trying to tell everybody. When you hear a nuclear verdict,
how freaking fair is that? That's BS. Bullshit. It's actual bullshit.
And they're doing it everywhere, right? C.H. Robinson, they're playing it in the media. Again, guys, when I say wake up and gals, these are the things that you pay attention to, right? You're seeing them. They're saying that we done it. And then what they're doing is building a test site. So they say, hey, we sued 100 people and they all got a nuclear verdict of this and they only got this much money. Hello. I don't know why you guys are complaining about it now when we already did 10 people that already had that. So, guys, get in line. Set it up. These things that we're seeing being staged on purpose. The question relies on you. You got to do the research. You have to look into it and see what's being done. And that's where it's important where truck drivers get involved, but send letters, find out, send Foley requests, everything you possibly can, because nobody's going to fix our industry. It's going to be us that has to fix it. The people that are in charge of us have never drove a semi. They're using studies to say, hey, you know what? This is what we want truck drivers to do. So when we look at all these things that's happening for a reason, for a stage, and we're just playing into them. And now it's time for us to step up and say, hey, you know what? Haha, funny game. You're not going to do nuclear verdicts on transportation. We're not going to allow it. We want it to be able, if I kill a family of 5 people, should be able to sue me for billions of dollars or whatever I have to offer, because that's what we had, right? When Grumpy was talking about, I've been out here for 25 years and he's had to follow these rules for 25 years. Those are the same rules that we should be following over and over again, because that's what our forefathers put down for us and said, hey, you know what? These are the rules we want you to follow. Why are we letting a big tech come in here and make their own decisions, create their own industry? Because that's what they're doing. They're literally creating it to what best benefits them. So guys, get involved. I encourage every single person in this live tonight to send letters. We're sending a campaign letters to the Senate right now, talking about autonomous trucks, and make sure that they answer the questions before they allow these things in the Build American 250 Act come through and change our industry for the best benefits, not the truck drivers. 10 for DC. But the investors are making the money on this. So get involved and let's protect our industry and not let the investors have what their way.
10-4 DC is your opportunity to make a difference. What date was that again? 10-4 DC is being September
30th to October 3rd.
Yeah.
So and DC is going to be after the time that they're voting on this Build American 250 Act. So guys, get involved before DC 10-4 DC. It's another stepping stool that if something doesn't go our way, we have something else that we can use for a platform to actually speak up. So again, if whatever they pass, we have to amend it out of there. It's never a dead end where we've won. Tomorrow, there's going to be something else they're going to throw at us in this industry. But it's to do our part. We should be following along and seeing what's going on.
We've covered a lot tonight. There's a lot of ways in which the leaders in trucking are obviously the emperor's clothes is falling off. People, we know what's going on, and I'll tell you honestly, the sooner you wake up and the sooner you realize what's really going on, the better off you'll be. I mean, obviously. Tonight, we held a discussion here on this live show about the trucking industry on trial. We've determined that there's a lot more special interests in going on behind the scenes than what we really truly know. Get involved, talk to your local representatives, make it known that you want trucking back the way it was back in the day. You want control of your future. You want control of your truck. You want control of your life, because every time they pass laws and you don't know enough about it, well, that's when you give up what little control you have. So together with We the Truckers and Truckers Unite Now, I am on a mission between now and September 3rd, what I call 250 Watch, and I intend to make it known to everybody that you do have the power. You have the power of making your voice known. All you have to do is use it. It's that simple. Say what's on your mind. Let us know what you're thinking, and we will document it. We will hear it. We will transmit it, and we'll put it here on the show. So I encourage you, be part of that. And with that, Grumpy, do you have any parting thoughts? You want to let everybody know how to find you, what means something to you, and hey, how do we entertain ourselves?
Most people know me as, originally I was the Grumpy Old Trucker, but I changed over to being Grumpy Giggles last year. I'm found here on YouTube. I'm found also on TikTok. I'm found also on Facebook under Grumpy Giggles.
Yep.
And
talk about Grumpy Old Truckers.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got a Facebook group, Grumpy Old Truckers. Yep. But anyhow, let's look at it this way, people. Your vote matters no matter what. So if you're able to get out there and cast your vote, do so. That'll help a lot on a lot of things. Your opinion counts.
Yes. Yep. Semi, real quick, how do people find you? What do we need about you? 30 seconds elapsed.
I do a lot of video vlogs. I try and keep up with things that's going on in the industry. You can check out my channel right here at semicorey.com or my Facebook.
Yep.
And just follow along.
God bless. Sean, talk about We the Truckers, Truckers Unite Now, and everything we need to know about that.
Yeah, so you can find me on WeTheTruckers.com. You can go on there and utilize the truck stop. Put your little bio in there, where you're from. You can find government information on there. You can find a lot of advocates that are actually in this industry fighting beside you or with you or for you. And you can find me here on YouTube, TikTok. My main platform is We the Truckers is where we're basically out of. And get involved. I tell everybody today, get involved. We're doing an email campaign. Feel free to send an email to Boss Man here with his email account, and we can actually get you a letter. We check your grammar and make sure everything's spelled right. A lot of people, I know we're busy truck drivers and we're always running up and down the road. Utilize those couple hours that you're stuck at a shipper and get these letters sent out, because it's our industry. It's not their industry. And I say the government, let's get them out of our trucks and get them into doing what they're supposed to be doing. Regulating the stuff that needs to be regulated. Put the money back in the truck driver's pocket. Put the power back in the trucker's seat. So open up a door for a truck driver. Always tell them thanks, it can change their life. So with that being said, guys, God bless every single person that came into live. Appreciate your support. Follow We the Truckers. Get on there and subscribe. You'll get email campaign letters from us and get involved.
Power of thanks is in your hand. All you got to do is say thank you to a trucker. It'll make a big difference in not only their day, but yours as well. Tell us what your thoughts are. Send us your concerns. Send us what you need. And we are in your corner, because the people make the difference. It's the trucks that make the deliveries, but it's you that make the difference. Till next time, my friends, remember, it's up to you. Keep the faith and keep a rolling.